poppin', man? Another day, another episode of Black Broadway Podcast, booming and moving. Hold up, let me check what's going on here, man. Welcome to George Wilson Podcast Studios, live from Washington, D.C. All right, let's turn this up a little bit here. Yeah. All right, how's everybody feeling? It's Friday. Let's get Fly Day. After FBI Day, apparently. Oh man, it's hilarious out here, man. Yo, this shit right here. This will get you motivated to even talk about this shenanigans, man. You know how it started off, man. Man, wish he had 3 different faces. He go on the court for 3 cases in 3 places. You already know. Hey, listen, it might get silly on here with freestyles, man. I'm just letting y'all know. Like, you know, that's my hair start bobbing like this, you know, start feeling those snares, it gets crazy. But we got a lot to talk about, man. You know what I'm saying? I love this streaming thing. I love it. Get up here in the morning and get about my business, you know what I'm saying? Before I got to get about my business, and then we get about the other business, you know what I mean? But yeah, like I said, it's Friday after FBI Day. Donnie Trump and them boys try to do it the raw way. Those guys, man. Hey, you know, those guys they're playing hardball, man, and they're not It doesn't seem like the other side is really willing to, you know, let them have this one. Usually they let them have it, but like I said, man, we're gonna get into it, G. Good morning, everybody. Shout out to all my followers. Shout out to everybody that's clicking up and linking up with the show, man. Shout out to all the streamers. Yo, I'm so impressed with everything that people are doing, man. I'm just very impressed with the content that's being produced, with the vibes that are being curated, man. I'm loving it, yo. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, it allows me to get into my groove a little bit more, man. I'm just seeing people be free. Let it flow. You know what I'm saying? Talk this talk, man. We got communities. We got people out here that we try and reach and we try and build up with, man. Hey, listen, subscribe, download, share, everything, man. I'm open to all of that. I got comments to respond to, man. Somebody told me I was reaching. What? Listen, when I reach, I'm going to let you know I'm reaching. Right now, these are very empirical, fact-based statements that I'm making. Every day, all day, you know what it is, man. Black Broadway, man. Love it. Yes, everybody tuned in, live, clocked in, man. It's Friday morning, man. We up, man. This is my energy Friday morning. I ain't even had no tea, no coffee, or nothing yet. Dropped the kids off, though, so life is good, you know what I'm saying? And been watching a little bit of, you know, my early morning crew. Who's what? Poppy Harlow and the crew on CNN. Of course, I rock with Amy Goodman and Democracy Now! When I'm riding in the car. Of course, my NPR crew is always on and popping. And then I got to go into my Black Power Media. Big shout out to Dr. Jared Ball and the crew over there. I guess he's on vacation. He's showing some really dope reruns talking about, you know, a lot of different issues and, you know, highlighting a lot of different guests and so on and so forth, man. Building that content library. I love it. Love to see it, man. Anyway, myself or the left of myself, at first glance seems to be like a regular FBI hat. But if you zoom in a little closer, you will see on the top of that joint, it says defund the FBI. Are these the same people? Hold on. Before I even get to who specifically this young lady is, because she got her eyes covered. You know, you don't know who she is, but see, she's somebody that you might be familiar with if you're familiar with things. This young lady very much so supports this sentiment that is held by a lot of people in these type of positions, that anybody speaking this shenanigans is an enemy of the state. They should be immediately kicked out of the country. They un-American. We don't fuck with anybody that says we back the blue. We got blue stripes on black and white American flags on the back of our pickup trucks. That's who we are. That's what we do. But at the same time, when the game flip, let me go grab this defund. You might as well put on the Raiders hat and turn up fuck the police for real. Funny shit though. Know who this person is? This is Marjorie Taylor Greene, congressional representative from the great state of Georgia. Shout out to all my peoples in Georgia, my brother, my little baby niece, my sister-in-law, all my peoples out there in Georgia, man. Crazy ass state. Atlanta is Atlanta. Georgia, whole nother thing. I can say I've been to Atlanta and Savannah, and in between there, I seen Georgia. Savannah was Georgia, very Georgia-y. So I got it. But Atlanta is a whole different animal. But this chick is a representative from the state of Georgia who has been rabble rousing, talking a lot of shit. A lot of militant pro FBI, pro law enforcement, back the blue. Let me get my AR 15 out here and shoot down immigrants and who want whatever. But when it's time to investigate their very snaky leader, it's defund the FBI. I think it's hilarious. And I think that one of the big things that we do over here on this podcast is we like to put things into historical perspective. So the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, all right, first of all, it's not this, super antiquated institution that you might think it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like barely 100 years old. It just got started when J. Edgar Hoover, a young, ambitious federal agent during the time of Prohibition, felt as though the biggest threat to America was fucking organized crime. They didn't even believe in organized crime. They was like, man, these Italians, these blah, blah, blahs, they're not talking about shit. They're not doing anything. Here we go, 100 years later, the Federal Bureau of Investigations has turned almost all crime into organized crime. RICO statutes flying abound. All types of conspiracies and different, organizations being infiltrated and so on and so forth. Oftentimes under the guise of, of protecting the interest of the United States of America. Not necessarily just crime, outright, killing and robbing and stealing. No, those are, more trite matters for like the police. You know what I'm saying? We let the police, we let other bureaus of law enforcement deal with that. They specifically investigate organizations. You understand what I'm saying to you? And they were started to investigate a very specific set of organizations outside of organized crime as well. The Garveyites. J. Edgar Hoover was obsessed with Marcus Garvey. He felt like Marcus Garvey and his UNIA movement and his thoughts of uniting black people in an effort to repatriate, meaning leave this country and go back to Africa, which would be, a lot of people kick that rhetoric, but in actuality, none of them ever wanted that. You know what I'm saying? This country was definitely built, founded on the labor of the people who were intentionally and involuntarily brought here. So you don't get to leave when you feel like it. All right. So that was already a very deep core tenet carried over from colonialism, slavery, that was, a founding tenet of the FBI. Secondly, dealing with Marcus Garvey and his UNIA, his efforts to organize black people and have social programs in the height of the Depression where you feeding people. You got churches and you got community organizations where people, newspapers, where people are putting all their money in. The FBI was deeply invested in corrupting, infiltrating, subverting, whatever language you want to use it. All of those things, all of those organizations, upsetting all those apple carts. If you do not believe me, do your research, first of all. Read up a little bit more on Marcus Garvey. Read up a little bit more on J. Edgar Hoover, because really that tells the story a little bit more conclusively. Like, you know how they ended up doing Garvey. They ended up deporting Marcus Garvey. They ended up really making him a pariah in the community. But you have to read the story of how that obsession played out for a lot of the people who were involved in this deception. It ends up in a lot of pop culture too. One of the shows that I really enjoy, Boardwalk Empire. I used to love Boardwalk Empire on HBO. And they delved into that a bit as well because, like I said, organized crime was one of the original focuses, and just his xenophobia and anti-ethnic approach to all newcomers. Like you gotta remember, this America, like this is some WASP shit, some white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, like yo, we're a very specific set of people. We trying to do this thing for us. Then we, as the years and the country grew, the definition of whiteness and who was allowed to be white and who was allowed to be a part of the privileged class grew. But it never, ever was meant to be or will be expanded to include us as as a culture, as a people, as an ethnicity. It's important for that to stand in order to exclude somebody. But I'm getting a little bit off track here. Back to Marcus Garvey and the entire FBI's focus on and its references in pop culture. Like the FBI's focus on this is a part of their lore in mafia movies. It's a part of the lore in 60s movies and pop culture, not just pop culture, but just reality of the civil rights movement, of, you know, Jim Crow and so on and so forth, enforcing those laws. It's a reality of all of that. So, I mean, I don't know why we're sitting here having this conversation today about perhaps some of the FBI agency's methods and motivations might be a little bit clandestine, a little bit above your head. But guess what? What you guys are doing is what they specialize in, which is organized crime. The Trump organization is, for for lack of a better way to put it, in a lot of ways, a very functional, highly functional crime family. Just doing their thing all over the place, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Having fun. Get to it. I'm like, wow, man. Like, this is really, this is really how these guys are getting off. If you would ever take a little bit of time to read the stories, and if you've ever been to Atlantic City, New Jersey, back in the day, before all the casino laws were passed, before all of the jurisdictions were allowed, Maryland and I mean, I believe Delaware was in play at that time, but probably only in play for sports betting. But on the East Coast, for the most part, Atlantic City was the premier destination for gambling, for any type of Vegas type show type activities. I went to see Kanye out there. I went to see the Yeezus tour out there. That was crazy. But all of those places were in some way touched by the Trump business empire, and with his big casino, the Taj Mahal, being the centerpiece. So he had a large piece of that town. And when that whole entire thing started to go down, boy, when I tell you this man made out like a thief, did not pay contractors, shut down casinos, furlough workers, basically led to the, ultimate decline of Atlantic City, which was also spurred on by the passage of, gambling legislation in all types of different, jurisdictions. So he's seen the writing on the wall, got up out of there very, very quickly. I mean, hey, defund the FBI, I guess, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't investigate me. Don't investigate the foul shit that I've done. Defund the whole entire agency. As I said, man, the latest news or the latest development in the FBI's investigation, or it's not even really just specifically the FBI, the agency that is, I guess, on the ground and that's carrying out the physical, you know, work of this particular investigation is the FBI. That is the Federal Bureau of Investigations. But it's a Department of Justice investigation, which is spearheaded by the actual Attorney General. This man said, he got on TV and said, yeah, I signed off on this personally. This is me. You know what I mean? So now we're looking at it, and we're looking at Merrick Garland stepping up to the plate, taking personal responsibility for putting the president, or the former president, excuse me, in a position where he has to respond to an open request that he initiated. That's the funniest part about this. Like, one thing about bullies, they can't never keep their mouth shut. This man had to put out the statement, had to say, "Oh, they ran in my house. They ran in the safe." Okay, good. You said that. Now you've made it all public. So here's the deal. We don't normally do this, but since there's so much public interest, and since you're actually even spurring and firing up this public interest, we're going to go ahead and do the proper paperwork to make the whole thing public. We're going to make this whole entire thing public. Ooh, okay, hold up. Got people in the chat room. What are you saying here? I thought the so-called left just blamed the defund the police movement for meager election results. Now the so-called right is using the same strategy to galvanize their followers. Exactly. Listen. One thing about those goalposts, man, they stay moving. If nothing else, they gonna stay on the move. And this is the thing about this entire, GOP as it exists now, man. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say it was ever any better because American politics has been definitely people on the same or similar sides of the issue, just on the side of empire, fighting about how empire should be handled and how empire should be, dispersed. But they're not. No one ever stood up. I won't say no one, but there was not a party of, hey, we should not, slaughter Native Americans and move westward. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, how are we going to do it? So at the end of the day, it's just two different sides of the same coin. You know what I mean? And I look forward to one day the hypocrisy disappearing from the plane, and we could just say that, and we could just be like, listen, it's those who are with empire and those who are not again who are not with empire, and that's kind of where we're headed at this point. We're headed towards a crossroads where at at some point in time, this could become an authoritarian country. Not in the very strict sense of, oh man, we got martial law and da da da. It doesn't have to look like that. I mean, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected 3 times. People, don't forget that. All right, that happened in people who are still alive's lifetime. You know what I'm saying? So just you know, put that on your radar. This country has never been terribly far from the monarchy from which it sprang. It's never been terribly far from, the feudalism and just basic. Oh man, is that tea? Okay, love this. Perfect. Needed that for the morning. Top of the morning to you. You know what I mean? This country has never been very far from that. So, I mean, a slide back in that direction, all the tools are in place to do that more efficiently. You know what I'm saying? All the tools are in place. All the things. So, hey, when we get down to it, man, we're gonna have an interesting time here, man. We're gonna have an interesting country, man. Like I was showing this tweet earlier. It's funny. I thought I was streaming, but I wasn't. I was showing the tweet earlier. Let me see if I can get it up. There it is. We'd like to see Donald Trump wriggle his way out of this jam. He wiggles his way out easily. Ah, well, nevertheless, I hate to say it, but I think that's pretty much where we're going here, gang. That's pretty much where we are going. We'll see, though. I mean, I'm not super optimistic. And here's the thing: one of the worst outcomes of this would be to make Donald Trump of The Apprentice fame a martyr. Like, man, I just couldn't imagine it. I could not imagine it. In America, and this is a thing that I've noticed and I've been peeping for years. Like our obsession with the anti-hero. We love anti-heroes, yo. We love somebody to come out here and just be the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? This guy is the bad guy, man. We like that about him, man. He's the bad guy. He's a lovable guy, though. You know what I'm saying? We think that we think he's a good person, yo. You know what I'm saying? Underneath it all. That'll be the death of you. I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, Maya Angelou tried to tell people back in the day, People show who they are. People show you who they are once. Believe them. When they show you, just believe them. You know what I mean? It's not that hard. Because at the end of the day, you're only going to suffer by creating illusions in your mind about what something is when it's obviously not that. I have no illusions about what, is going on here. Have no illusions about how this country is getting down, how they're moving. And I mean, hold up. Let's talk about it because it's coming up. I love football. For whatever reason, I just grew up. I love football. NFL football is my shit, man. My cousin even played in the NFL for several years. I've seen what the NFL up close and personal, like up close and personal, rocking authentic jerseys on sidelines of games, personal, to see what the NFL is like and how it treats people. And I hate that from a deep part of my soul. But why do I love this game so much, man? We're all deeply socialized. You know what I'm saying? We all have been built to see this country a certain way. And at this point in time, the best, I think the best strategy for all of us is to try to imagine something new, something different. Move yourself towards something new, something different. And you'll see how your world starts to open up because there's a lot of things that once you can step back away from them and say that okay, that is something that is what it formerly was. That's what it used to be. Once you can separate the past from the present, then your perspective will grow and develop. You know what I'm saying? This is not we're not dealing with the same Democrats and Republicans of ye old times. We're not dealing with the same level of political discourse and political education in America. You know what I'm saying? We're not dealing with that. We're dealing with a very, very uneducated, angry, let's keep it a buck, sick. Man, people are ill. People, that's why healthcare and all of that be such a big deal, man. People going to die about these pills, man. People going to die about these prescriptions. People are going to go to the mattresses about these prescriptions. People are going to go to the mattresses about education. People are going to go to the mattresses about safety and security. This country has built you up to believe that guns and firearms equal security, and they all it's just a sick cycle of them equaling more insecurity. Now we got more guns, more people get shot. It's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So until we get out of that, until you extricate yourself from that cycle, until you're able to look at things and be like, oh man, this is we thought at some point in time that this was going to get better, but it's actually getting worse. Take a step back and reevaluate. That's all you gotta do. It's hard too, and I know, cause I mean, it's another meme. I wish I would have put it up in my little slideshow, but it's a little baker, and he's like, just like this dough, if you rest, you can rise. You know, it's just like dough. If you rest, you can rise, but you gotta get beat. You do have to get kneaded. You do have to get worked into that ball, into that pliable form. So then you can rise. And this is like, right now, it's a moment in time where we don't know what's going on, man. Like we have seen this government over the last, I mean, I would say 40 or 50 years. And my dad, the political reporter, the political scientist that he was, always told me to observe how the people that are in charge are ultimately changing. This has always been a cult of personality. It's always been about who's who and who knows who and what kind of relationships that they can forge in order to form alliances that, can be beneficial for both parties. We are not at the table. We're not that type of consideration. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's a consideration in the sense of an opposing force that can make things difficult for you that you have to appease, not a party that is on equal terms with negotiating. So, fine. That being understood, even the people who were doing the negotiating understood that they were in a negotiation. Now these folks think it's a war. This is not. It's no longer a game. Like I mean, I used to watch. I still do. I can watch C-SPAN like it's ESPN. Like, it's like some people can't watch tennis, right? Because they don't know the rules. They like, what the fuck is deuce? What is love? What is fucking, what I'm saying? What does that fucking mean? I can't understand this shit, so I can't watch it. I just see them smacking the ball back and forth. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's kind of a crazy way to look at the game. Just learn the fucking scoring system, but whatever. This is how people look at Congress, and it's the same type of game. When we're talking about, I yield the balance of my time back to the gentleman from West Virginia. Okay, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to reserve the balance of my time here. I'm going to propose an amendment. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to actually go for it. We're going to have to do a cloture vote here. We're going to have to get a quorum. All of these terms, all of these like just ways of communicating. It's parliamentary shit. That's really what it is. It's parliamentary shit, and it's the American Parliament, which is performative. It's bullshit. Like, and British Parliament, you know what I'm saying? My dad used to always tell me that. He's like, yo, this is bullshit. Like, I mean, I'm walking past one of the guys. A lot of people talk shit about this guy. I won't even say talk shit about this guy, but a lot of people talk about this guy. Robert Byrd, man. Robert Byrd was a senator from West Virginia. And Robert Byrd, when he was a young man, was in the Ku Klux Klan. Period. Full stop. This guy was in the Ku Klux Klan. This man was one of the longest serving senators. He died in his 90s. You know what I'm saying? He served all the way up. I was I was working on the Hill when Robert Byrd was there. He used to always come and get these long ass speeches right before recess, right before 4th of July recess, August recess, Christmas recess. You knew in order to get out of there, you was going to have to hear a long ass speech from Robert Byrd, and that would be the end of it. And that once he talked, everybody go home. So this dude was actually a very progressive Democrat because he was old enough to be from the Democratic Party that was of racist. The Democratic Party, the Dixiecrats, that was the party that was of racist. Up until the 60s, the GOP still had that legacy of being Lincoln's party. You know what I'm saying? They still had that little tinge on them from being the party of Lincoln, which was the party of abolitionists, et cetera, et cetera. So the populace, the Southern populace, those people were Democrats. That's the only way Kennedy got elected, which started the big quote unquote Democratic shift in America because his vice presidential candidate, Lyndon Baines Johnson, was from Texas, a cold blooded Southerner, cold blooded nigger using racist whenever he felt like it guy. You know what I'm saying? He also knew what the fuck time it was in America, so he signed some big bills that actually ended up, quote unquote, helping black people in some way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? And I won't say, you know, too much about the entire situation because that's a whole nother show. But, civil rights acts, you know what I'm saying, urban development, quote unquote, all of those things can be looked at as the genesis of the development of the black urban, especially culture in America, and it being, the thing that was, allowed those people who came up in the Great Migration to flourish. Anyway, Robert Byrd, man, nice guy, yo. Always pleasant to see in the hallway. All these senators, Chuck Schumer, fucking Chuck Grassley, all of those guys, like they were friends. They was like, yo, man, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Da, da, da. Marjorie Taylor Greene and these dickheads, they really walking around. They're walking around a building that is secured and protected by the FBI, by the United States Capitol Police, actively saying, fuck those guys. Every day. Which is wild to me because, those guys, that's for whatever it's worth, supposed to be a pretty easy job. You know what I'm saying? I learned something on TikTok, man. Shout out to everybody that's following on TikTok and that's rocking with the movement on TikTok, man. I've learned a lot of shit on TikTok. That's not just a commercial. Like, I've actually learned a lot of shit. And the term cakewalk, man, which I've been known to use, man, this shit's about to be a cakewalk. Nah, that's wow. That's actually a former form of minstrelsy that, somebody, a minstrel by the name of, or, that was made legendary by the name of Jim Crow used to do. So, cakewalking, all of that, highly racist terms that come from minstrel shows. Wow. Did not know that. You know what I'm saying? That shit is super deep. Every day you learn something else is racist, man. Next thing I'm gonna learn tea racist or something. I'm gonna be sick about that. I already know coffee is racist. All right, like this, and you know what? Let me just drink my tea and just relax, G. Anyway, like I was saying, back to this old collegialism and lack of collegialism in these professional governmental ranks, man. Let's get it together, y'all. Let's start realizing that there's an actual culture war going on, and there are some people that are very very confident that they could knock this whole entire country over into the direction that they want it to be because they feel like the work, so to speak, is already done. And they might be right. You know what I'm saying? In a sense of we have attempted to mechanize or automate everything that we could possibly automate. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to get cars moving in a certain direction. We're trying to automate I mean, who works at the grocery store anymore? You know what I'm saying? Who works at CVS? You know what I mean? Like, you go to Family Dollar, they supposed to have five cashiers, they only got one. It's wild out here in the streets, man. No, but they say that the economy is moving in a super positive direction and everybody got work and there's more work than there's ever been for everybody. Yo, I mean, I see it. I see it one way. I hear that, but I see it in another way of being like there's going to be an eternal service economy that's always going to constantly rotate because people want out of that. People want to rise and want to, join the greater economy. But another TikTok, a great TikTok that I was watching last night, touched on brother Malcolm X was speaking on why education and the lack of education is the main detriment for people. Like that's what keeps people poor, man. Not learning, not knowing. You know what I'm saying? Hey, profits are moving in a positive direction. You're 100% correct. They just had a report today. Corporate profits were up 25% in the midst of recession. So you know what I'm saying, or pardon me, not recession, global inflation. That's what we're in the midst of right now, and corporate profits are up 25%. I wonder if those two things have anything to do with each other. I just wonder. Man, look, it's Friday, y'all. We got a whole weekend to think about how we going to train because this is Black August. This is the train week. We got a whole weekend to think about how we going to train ourselves to deal with what's coming because it's coming. You know what I mean? There's not much that we could really be bothered with in the sense of doing about saving America. I'm definitely a person who is a proponent of voting. I believe deeply in, exercising your franchise in whatever capacity you can. If you have an opportunity to make a choice, I think it's super important to make it. I tell my son this all the time. Make choices. You know what I'm saying? You can make good choices, you can make bad choices. You can make new choices if you make bad choices. You don't make no choices, you're staying stuck. You're stagnant. So make choices, all right? Make choices. It's important. You can make mistakes. It's important not to make the same mistakes over and over again. But you can make mistakes. And sometimes you make the same mistakes over and over again. It happens. This shit is life. You know what I'm saying? Hey, America is definitely top proof of that. So when it comes to voting and when it comes to the democratic process, yes, that's one way to move. But unless you're training yourself on some skills and putting yourself and your community in a position to be able to thrive, not just survive, thrive when and if things go extraordinarily left, if you don't have some skills built up, if you don't have some ties and some networks built and some systems coordinated, if you don't have that together, then it's going to be a very difficult transition into what ultimately is to come, because you can't fight it. You cannot, like, it's like it's a wave. You know what I mean? It's a tidal wave. It crest and it falls. It's life. And there'll be another wave after it. It's a beautiful thing. Hey, I was just on the ocean. I saw it happen. You know what I mean? They flow through you. The energy of the ocean, let it flow through you. Like how Bruce Lee used to say, "Be water." You know what I mean? Be water. Like it's all good, man. It's Friday, man. It's gonna be a beautiful weekend allegedly in Washington D.C. after this crazy, crazy hot summer, sticky summer. I don't know if y'all heard this, man. It's been literally it's literally been a tree growing, trees plural, growing in the Arctic Circle. Scientists saw a tree growing in the Arctic Circle and was like, "Yo, we are in some shit. This is awful." There are trees growing in our Arctic Circle. In Siberia, we have hit triple digits several times this summer, and that's unprecedented. Triple digits in Siberia, that's where they send people for exile. That's where they send you if you've been doing absolute craziness in all of Europe. You got to get out of there, man. That's where they send you. And now there's I guess some balmy nights to be had in Siberia. If it reaches 100 in the daytime, at nighttime where it's supposed to freeze, where it's those big plains, like that's that's like not Genghis Khan wasn't even messing with that, and this guy was conquering everything. He's like, yeah, we're cool on that. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't need that. It's crazy now, man. Floods in Vegas, yo, these floods have been crazy. I don't know where you are, wherever you are in the world. Yo, Washington D.C. has been crazy with the floods. Vegas has been crazy with the flood. The Midwest, man, my people in Kentucky going through it. It's been crazy in Kentucky with the floods. It's I don't, I mean, like the entire thing with this climate change thing is like people not taking it seriously enough to understand that yo, we're headed in a certain direction here. Let's plan for what we could do that will not necessarily stave it off, but train for what our new world looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like, not saying that we're going into water world mode, but that shit wasn't built overnight. We had to build, you got to put the infrastructure together so that you can actually have, this larger, thriving world of the future that we want. You can't misuse your resources because you only get so much of it, You're only going to be allowed you're only going to have so much. There's an abundance and there's always abundance. And that's why I look to the continent with the abundance of youth, with the abundance of resources. But there's not an abundance to be used in an irresponsible way, in a disrespectful way. There's never an abundance like there's an abundance of land in America, yes, but you can't grow cotton on all of that land because cotton will destroy that land, and then there won't be an abundance anymore. All right, so you got to be respectful of all your resources. Man, I love getting on this stream, man. I'm figuring this whole thing out. We getting some views up. We sending out some clips. Like it's not going to stop, man. I remember, I can recall, what I'm saying, like just the early days of just podcasting in like 2015, just trying to get anybody to get it going, yo. Africa is the future, youngest population in the world. It's always going to be Africa. It always was, it always will be. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up, man. To the future. Yo, how Fela used to say, music is the weapon of the future. Good Lord. Yo, if that ain't the truth, man, the music being the weapon of the future is the truest, truest, truest thing you ever heard. At the end of the day, like all of us, we gotta realize, man, that what we put in our minds, put in our bodies, what we thinking about, what we on, that shit reflects in our reality. You know what I mean? That shit reflects in our reality. That's where we live, man. We live in a world where, yo, We say fuck the police, they don't want to hear us. You know what I'm saying? They turn the police on us. Then they flip out and get hats that say defund the FBI. I'm telling you, man. We living in a wild place, G. Train for what's coming next. Study, train, and then next week, oh man, I'm gonna leave it out on this note because I'm gonna go ahead and get off the stream for a second and get back into my bag. Yo, y'all know I love this shit. You know I fucking love this fucking chronic, man. But end of the day, man, I gotta get into a bag, man. I gotta get into a bag, y'all. So next week we talk about fast. We on fast for Black August, Black Broadway fast. Give up something you love. Give up something you think you can't live without. You know what I'm saying? Give up, be able to make a sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Don't imbibe from sun up to sundown. Do some discipline. Do some push-ups. Do some pull-ups. Do some sit-ups. Get your mind right. Hey, we on a weed fast, man. It's a sabbatical. I'm gonna go ahead and put this one up. You know. I think I might have one more spliff, and that might be it. I mean, no, that will be it. Discipline, show discipline. I have a tattoo on my wrist that says "show discipline." It's about time that I really, really lean into that. Weed fast, tree fast, weed fast, be fast, think fast, smoke grass, slide off, get past. Hey, look, we're gonna do it now. Chill. Mm-mm. Hey, listen. Just want y'all to know something, man. We going in the right direction here, y'all. It's Black Broadway Podcast every day, all day. Give up the goods, man. You know what I'm saying? Get the money. Yeah, we going to get to it. We trying to get to 50 subscribers. We getting the Twitch affiliate. Then we going to Twitch partner. Then we going to Twitch corporate. Then we going to, Black Broadway / Twitch combinations. Then it's just going to be Black Broadway bought Twitch. They bought it. How'd he do it? He bought it. You know what I'm saying? Some years, man. We gonna put it together though. Hey, man. Thank y'all so much. Just a little quick early morning stream for the team. You know the dream. You know what I'm saying? All right. Hey, it's Black Broadway. Yo, I'm gonna see y'all on the flip side, man. All right. Might see y'all this. No, I'm gonna see y'all this weekend for sure. There's no question. You know what I'm saying? Like, today is the day where we do the bio. Today is the day where we do the things. You know what I'm saying? We put the bio together. We put the schedule together. We're showing everybody what's happening because there's no way we could be giving out this good info. There's no way we could be giving out these fire streams and people not really tapped in and knowing. It's for the community. It's for the people. You know, hold up. My producer came down. There's the J. All right, producer. Producer keeps me tight though, man. Like, listen, like help us work it out so that we can live in the studio. We try to live in the studio. What creator don't want to live in the studio, man? What creators don't want to live in the studio? This is what we want to do. This is what we want to be. This is what we want to give out, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, defund the FBI hats, man. Can we get one of those? We might have to cut. We might have to put those in the merch store. You know what I'm saying? Since MTG want to go in, she is awful too. I mean, there's people that are bad, but she's pretty awful. She's right up there with Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio and them, man. Terrible. Terrible, G. Don't forget, yo. It's Black Broadway.